Welcome to the Dr. Diane Show, where we explore revolutionary expansion of mind, body, and soul with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. With over 20 years of expertise as a mindset warrior, perspective shifter, and unshakable optimist, I am dedicated to helping you reach your wildest dreams in business, health, performance, and relationships. Learn about the power of thought and how it shapes your life to take risks, change careers, find love, go on adventures, and live passionately with me, Dr. Diane. Get ready for revolutionary ways of thinking, being, and creating an amazing life. The Dr. Diane Show starts now. Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Diane Hayden, and you are listening to the Dr. Diane Show on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour, where we will explore revolutionary expansion of mind, body, and soul. Join me on the first and third Thursdays, where I have experts from around the country teaching you cutting-edge therapies on longevity medicine, natural health, mindset, and soul purpose to help you shift your perspective and become a mindset warrior like me. And please like and subscribe to my channel, Dr. Diane Hayden. I'm excited today to have on with me Angela Kazarian. She is a Feng Shui and healthy home consultant, an intuitive Usi Shiki Riho Reiki master teacher who integrates sound healing into her practice. She's a current member of the International Feng Shui Guild and the International Association of Reiki Professionals, and she has written for the Reiki News magazine and been published in 3 separate issues. She continues to expand upon her skills by exploring the world of energy through many different modalities, and it is her passion and joy to teach others how to fill and surround themselves with the highest vibrational healing energies in order to live their best lives. You can learn more about her at www.lovingkarma.com. So welcome, Angela. How are you today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So I'm excited. Many people may not even know what Feng Shui is, or maybe even Reiki. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about how you got into all of this. Like what kind of, led you down this path to do this practice.
Yeah, so in 2010, I had a conversation with somebody at a dinner party who had rearranged her office to get more clients. And I had no idea what she was talking about. And she said, yeah, feng shui, you can change things around and it's supposed to give you better opportunities. So, of course, that was interesting to me because I was always a furniture rearranger growing up. Things just feel off and you don't know why. So I was like, let me
Right.
check this thing out. So back in the day, 2010, there was an actual Borders store in my town. So I went to the bookstore looking for anything on feng shui, and I'm looking for like self-help, psychology sections, can't find anything. And ends up being in landscape and garden design. So,
Really?
yeah.
I would never guess that.
Yeah, because the land does have a lot to do with it too. I focus on the interior, and there's many different versions of feng shui, but the version I practice is Western feng shui. So I bought a book called "Move Your Stuff, Change Your Life" by Karen Rausch Carter,
I
and
know it.
it
That's a
was
great book.
such a fun book and very simple and insightful. And I started, making some changes in my own home and moving things around. And it was just something that excited me. I felt like I could take control of the direction of my life and, actually manifest things, which I think we all have the ability and capability to do. I think we're all doing it all the time. I think a lot of us are on autopilot and don't realize what roles we play in how our lives unfold. So then in, 2018, go 8 years ahead, I find actually 2017, I found Karen was doing a certification course for feng shui consulting, but she also had this healthy home twist to it, which was interesting to me. So I did that and learned a lot about the environment and health. And really, it's not just about rearranging furniture. That certainly has stuff to do with it. Clutter has stuff to do with it. But it's creating a home that is healing. It's creating a workspace that is healing. And we don't realize how many things affect us on a physical, mental, emotional health level. So that was my avenue for, I tend to rabbit hole and want to constantly learn more how to better myself, how to help other people. And Reiki kind of came next as just a fun thing. My girlfriend was like, want to check out this Reiki class. And I was like, yeah, Feng Shui is all about external environment. Let's see what this internal stuff is about. And I just never stopped. I just kept going and yeah, took off.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is awesome. I don't know that I've ever met anyone who combines the two. It's interesting. I like that,
Oh,
like,
there's such
yeah,
a correlation. There's
yeah.
such a correlation. We go on vacation, we feel better, we get all of these insights because we're not surrounded by what is distracting us all the time. So feng shui is you know, our homes are a reflection of our lives. They mirror our inner thoughts and our inner world. And what we think about is somewhere in our environment. What's in our environment is what's occupying our mind. So that affects us on an energetic level hugely. And Reiki is about bringing the body into balance energetically and physically and emotionally. And feng shui is about bringing your home into balance to help bring your body into balance. So it's really, they're just a beautiful pair.
It's so funny that you mentioned vacation because I swear to you, every single time I go on vacation, I get more inquiries about advertising for the magazine than like I get the whole rest of the year. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. That has happened to me for years. It's like,
Yeah.
what is happening when I'm on vacation? It's
Yeah,
all
you're
this
not.
energy.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. Your mind's not being occupied by everything that you're constantly in. So now you're this like, you have your phones shut off. You're not obsessively reading your emails or responding to work, and now your brain's not occupied. And then you can just really be this magnet for what you do want, and it just
Mhm.
becomes effortless.
It does. Yeah, it does. It's pretty wild how that works.
Yeah.
So let's talk about feng shui.
Yeah.
Um, like I think, people may have heard of it. Maybe a lot of the listeners have, used it before. Maybe there's some people that have heard of it but aren't really sure how it works, and maybe some that have never heard about it. So, um, tell us, I guess, just explain a little bit about how does it actually work, like with your house and then with each particular room.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different methods that feng shui consultants use to bring your home into balance. So sometimes people reach out to me because they want to attract a partner in a relationship, or they're feeling a little lost in their career, or they're having issues with somebody in their family. And one of the tools that we use is something called a Bagua map. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
But there are basically, it's technically 8 energy centers. The grid actually looks like 9. I have a little, this is what's on my website. You can go to lovingkarma.com and it's right on the front page. But it tells you the different areas in your life that these energy centers, or guas is what they're called. Um, there's fame and reputation, love and relationships, children and creativity and joy, helpful people and travel, career and life purpose, skills and knowledge, family, community, abundance, and health. So,
Mhm.
health is the center because without your health, you don't have anything else. Nothing else matters.
Right.
So, let's say somebody wants to attract a partner, then there's a couple different avenues. You can use the Bagua map and find the relationship corner. And you can look in there and how is that energy center showing up in your life? Do you have one nightstand next to your bed versus two to represent a partner? And one nightstand, is that representing one night stands? Is that
Ooh,
representing
that's
a
interesting.
person? Yes. Does
Yep.
your room speak to having space to welcome a new partner, or is your stuff just full of your own things and there's no room for it? Do you have things that represent pairs, or do you have singular objects? Again, one nightstand, one lamp, artwork that has one image. So all of these things affect our subconscious, and I like to tell my clients that our homes are basically these three-dimensional vision boards that are beaming out into the universe what we want to come back to us. So when I put it that way, then people really start paying attention and looking around, and then it's like, oh, how much of your furniture is attached to your previous marriage, your divorce, and how much of that is reminding you of a past relationship, and how much of that is occupying your mind. And does that bed that you used to share with your ex help you forward think, move forward, attract a new partner, or does it keep you stuck in your old life and old thinking patterns? So it's a lot of mindfulness.
Yeah. And also color and shapes. And so I've
Yeah.
had, I have had a feng shui consultant come a couple times to different
Oh,
places where I've
yeah.
lived. So I'm very familiar with it, but I want to talk to you today as if I'm, like never
Yeah.
heard of it for most of our listeners.
Yeah.
So what was interesting to me is how you work with color and shapes and then the elements like wood or metal or
Yes.
so yeah, talk to us a little bit about how that works.
Sure. So the elements are another tool that we use separate from the Bagua map, but they're intertwined too. And the purpose of the Bagua map and the elements is not to go into your home and try and balance and feng shui everything. We all are experiencing feng shui. It's not something that you have to hire somebody to create. It's how the energy is already flowing in your house. And I am a optimist, and I do not like to create or instill fear. And I tell people, I'm not going to tell you you're doomed from anything, that something's going to cause death or a divorce. There are, these positions and things in homes, but I'm like, we're going to talk about your energy. Is it less optimal or more optimal? And how can we optimize what is not working in your life? I don't go and say what is wrong. I say, tell me what's going on in your life. And then here are the things we can do to amplify that. So, some of the things we can do with the Bagua map, as I had mentioned, it tells you the different areas in your home that are in relation to your life. But yes, there are elements that you can use to create balance and harmony. So, there's wood, the wood element, and you want to have the wood element in certain areas of your home to amplify that energy. The wood, our elements all are represented by colors and shapes. So not only will a piece of wood represent wood, but the color green will represent wood energy. A columnar shape will represent wood energy, and that's upward growth. So there's a lot of different reasons why we use the different things, but basically it's to bring into balance like we have in nature. So there's wood, which feeds the fire, which burns to ash and creates earth, which creates has all the minerals inside. Minerals have the condensation that gives us water. Water nourishes the wood. So you really want a nice balance of these outdoor elements in your home. And you can just feel when things are off and stagnant and stuck if you've got like a room full of wood with nothing to represent any of the other ones. So that can create downward energy. It can create stuckness, or it can create over excitement, over stimulation. So depends what you're going for and trying to do.
It seems like every single place that I've lived in, where my money section is, or finances, or work, or
Oh,
whatever,
yeah.
there's a toilet.
Uh-huh, a drain. Yes, very
Yes.
good point. Very good point. Yes, there are areas where you don't want the drains to be specifically. Well, drain all drains are draining energy, but the water part of the drain can help amplify. But there
Mhm.
are things you can do, remedies for, like the toilets. You always want to have the lids down, doesn't matter where it is, because that's like a vacuum. You flush the toilet and it's going to pull all of your good energy out with the waste.
Right.
So keep your toilets down. You can even pull the door shut. Depends how much shut the drains, how much do you want to go?
Yeah, yeah, it's so funny. It's just like, why is it that every place I end up has a toilet in that section? But what's
Mm,
great is, like you said, like you're optimistic. You come
yeah,
at it from like, okay, I'm not going to tell you that there's nothing you can do about this. There's always
right.
something you can change. You
Yeah,
can add in different
yeah,
colors, or like you're saying, put the seat down, or
yeah.
add in different elements and things like that that will keep stuff inside and not, flushing out, so to speak. So
Right.
there's always something, that can be done. I think that will work, right? In any
Yes.
particular room or whatever that you're in.
Yes. And I will always tell clients, no matter what I say is not going to rule over what you feel. So if I give you a suggestion or a remedy and it doesn't resonate with you, but you're doing it to satisfy what I'm telling you, it's not going to be effective. You have to understand why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. This is so fascinating. I'm excited for more. You're
yay.
listening to the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will explore more with Angela Kazarian, who's a Feng Shui and healthy home consultant. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. And before we continue, I want to make sure everyone knows how to reach out to me. You can find me at www.drdianehayden.com or either of my two publications, www.naturalnutmeg.com and www.essentialnaples.com. And you can learn more about Angela Kazarian at www.lovingkarma.com. That's spelled LOVINGKARMA.com. So before we went to break, we were just talking about, how, for me, my toilet's always in the wrong spot. But other things that I found really interesting about what the consultant, would tell me is like mirrors can be in a wrong spot too. Like I had a mirror, I think when you walked into a room, the mirror was like the first thing you saw when you walked in the door. And so
Yes.
she was telling me that that was basically like blocking all the energy and pushing it back out again.
Yes. Yes. I absolutely love all of these examples that you're bringing up. Yeah, mirrors can be tricky. Sometimes people don't think about what they're doubling with them on the wall. So if you've got piles of laundry and you're just now you've got two piles of laundry. If you've got a stack of bills in your work, you're doubling your vision of this. It's going to be doubly on your mind.
Mhm.
So, and there's, some people say no mirrors in the bedroom for, reasons of they can invite third parties, not necessarily people, but work could be the third party interruption in the relationship. So my rule about mirrors in the bedroom is just as long as you're not seeing yourself and you're not doubling anything that is what you don't want doubled in your life.
Right,
But yeah, they can be
right.
used to expand rooms too and spaces. They're remedies for, opening up narrow hallways. But you're absolutely right. You don't want it right at the door because it is bouncing the energy straight out and not able to move it around.
And then the other thing was how you decide where these, like, how do you lay the map over your home, right? Like,
Yes.
for
Yeah.
example, where I am now, we're actually in the process of renovating the home that I grew up in because my mom's moved into assisted living and
Oh,
we're going to keep the home for a while. It's a place for us to come back to, we're in Florida in the winter and come back here in the summer versus having to do Airbnb and that kind of thing. So it's been great. And we're doing a lot of renovation. What's interesting though is that when my friend came to do the first walkthrough, so the front of the house where the number is over the door is
hmm.
actually not the doorway that we ever go in and out. It's where packages are dropped and things like that. But my parents had added on to the house. And so now it's actually like the back part of the house, which
Mm.
goes out to the driveway and our garage. And that's the way we always come in and out. So I was like, well, how do I know how to put this map, overlay this map? Because it
Right.
matters. Like if the map is this way, or, like
Yeah.
where all the sections are, how do
Yes.
you figure that out? Or for
That,
people who live on a ranch, like one floor, or two floors, right?
yeah.
Like, how do you figure out where all the squares go?
Yes. So it is the front door. So the front door, the architectural front door, like you said, where packages are delivered, you really want that front door to be very defined because that is where your home takes its breath in. It's like a mouth eating food. If you have the front door blocked, you can't nourish your body. If you can't get to your front door and you're not using your front door, you're not bringing that nourishment into your home. So you lay the map out by bird's eye view, looking down, wherever your front door, the architectural front door is, that's going to be the bottom of the map. So
Hmm.
you're just laying this tic-tac-toe grid. So this is the home, bird's eye view. Here's the front door. You're going to orient it this way. And these colors represent the colors that amplify these different areas of the map of your life. Um, so yes, a lot of people will use side doors often, and that's okay, but you want to be using that front door, even if it's just to go out and get the mail, let your dog in and out. Bring some sunlight in, some fresh air. Very important.
It's interesting you say that because I have that door open all the time. We don't go in and out of it that much, other than like if I'm getting a package. Well, nowadays with Amazon, like there might be some, I might open the door almost every day to get a package from Amazon,
That's
but
perfect.
which is good, right? But
Yes.
there's something about having that door closed that bothers me. Like
Mhm.
energetically, when I come downstairs in the morning, I know I'm not going out that way, but
Yeah.
I have to open that door like
Yes.
it. And it's so it's interesting you say that because I think that's probably why, like energetically,
Yeah.
to me there's something wrong with having that door closed.
Yes. And then also with the map, the way when, like you said, you have different levels in the home. I apply it on the main level. So you can stack the other levels like Lego bricks. But the
Mhm.
Bagua map can be used also in each individual room. So you can lay it out where your front door, where the door is that you walk into your bedroom. You can create all these great little ways to attract a lot of different things in a lot of different areas and a lot of things we don't have control over. Like I have a 20-year-old now, but when she was a messy teenager, sorry, Ariana,
Yeah,
I just had to keep the door shut. And I
yeah,
was just like, what's closest to you is what affects you most. That's what I tell people. So, yeah.
yeah. So why are feng shui consultants sometimes referred to as house doctors?
Because health is of the utmost importance. And when people have ailments and things, they go to doctors. And in Western medicine, they're treating a symptom with usually a prescription or, Eastern and naturopath looks at, the health and root cause. But a lot of times people don't realize the things that are in our homes could be what is creating our ailments. So we could, let's say, have cancer and you go through chemo and radiation, and then you're in the clear. But then you're going back home every day, sleeping in the space where you've got high electromagnetic fields for whatever reason, multiple reasons. So your body's under this constant bombardment of these fields. So Feng Shui looks at, the home as imagine we're all born with these empty barrels. And have you ever heard the phrase body burden
No.
before?
Oh,
So
like toxicity wise,
yes,
or okay,
exactly,
okay.
exactly. So things in our home add a little drop to that burden in our bodies until it gets full, and all of a sudden we start breaking out in rashes or having headaches, and we haven't changed anything, but it's because we've so overburdened and overloaded our bodies. So being in the home as a consultant, there's a lot of things we look at. We ask about the health of everybody in the home. And if there is a sickness, when did it start? Did it start when you moved in the home? Did it start when they started installing 5G, on the all the telephone poles? There's a lot of different reasons and a lot of things that we can do to mediate and measure. I have a tri-field meter that I bring into the home, and the sleeping space is the really big container of room that I focus on because that's where we spend a third of our lives. If you're lucky to sleep 8 hours a night, or at least spend that time, that is where we can rest, heal, and recover. So I'm measuring your what's plugged in behind you. I talk about you're using your cell phone when it's plugged in, your laptop on your lap, all the no-nos and the things that, I don't instill fear in anybody, but it's awareness that's so important. So moving, acupuncturists have meridians and points where they will move energy and unblock energy. And that's how I look at feng shui is I'm helping create a place that is healthy where you can move freely. And it's not only EMFs, but it's using things like we were talking about, drains, keeping toilet lids down to keep energy in the home, putting mirrors up to redirect down a hallway to help movement happen, just creating nourishing, healthy containers.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, who would think that there was so much um, influence, I guess, on the space that you lived in, other than, like, I know people are very aware of now, like mold in the home and mold exposure and toxins from that kind of a perspective, or, like going way back, like if you had lead paint or all that kind of stuff. But to think of it just from this perspective of where things are placed in the house, or,
Mhm.
fit like things that you can't physically move, like a toilet, or even like
Right.
having a certain color in a room, or having a certain type of furniture, or like what you said about the nightstand. Like, I'm thinking of all my single friends. When you said that, I've started going through, like, I have all these single girlfriends. I have like
Oh,
7 of them that I've like collected along the way.
yeah.
And literally, like, I'm thinking of all of them. I'm like, yep, one nightstand in her room. Yep,
Uh-huh.
one nightstand. Like, seriously,
Uh-huh.
I think almost all of them have just one nightstand.
Yeah, it's such a simple, unconscious part of our subconscious.
Yeah.
So it's create your life, get off of autopilot, start to forward think, and how can you place and put things to attract what you want?
Right. So you would hire you not only for, like you said, we've been talking about, and you said the health of the home, or maybe you're dealing with a health issue, like you want to find a partner, you want a new relationship. I'm sure there's a number of other reasons. Like, what are some other reasons why someone would hire a feng shui consultant?
Some people just feel off. They don't know what it is. There are rooms that are just catch-alls that they don't like being in. And this addresses another part of feng shui, which, I didn't really speak to, but it's wind and water is what it translates to. It's the energy we can and the energy we can't see. So part of a feng shui consultation is doing a blessing of the space, which a lot of people don't really understand what that is. And it's not a religious ceremony. It's literally like we vacuum our homes, we wash our bodies, but we don't think about the air around us. So sometimes there can be something called predecessor energy. And I can describe that in an everyday environment. If you are at work or at home and somebody's had this enormous fight, argument, and you walk in the room and
Oh,
nobody's
you
in
feel it.
there, you feel it. You're like,
Yep.
what is
What
that
just
in here?
happened here?
Yeah. So, taking care of your space energetically, there's a lot of different tools people can do, and use, usually sage or Palo Santo or singing bowls or bells. And it's something that you can hire somebody for, but it's stuff you can do yourself. But I like to empower people and teach them as I'm there. And it's just something you walk around and that smoke just absorbs and cleanses the energy. I kind of describe it as, have you ever been at a stoplight and a car pulls up next to you and you can tell they're smokers because their windows are like just so foggy and gunky and you can't really see in there? I feel like that's what the environment feels like when people don't cleanse their energetic space. And then
Yeah.
it's like this crystallized, ooh, beautiful, beautiful feeling energy. And people don't realize even like the smallest thing makes the biggest difference. And it's having the awareness of when you're walking through a space and it doesn't feel right, what has been happening in that space. So there's in the home I'm in right now, landing, it's a raised ranch. So you walk in the door, but the door handle is stuck, was stuck. So every time somebody tried to open that door, you can imagine there was eventually a lot of swearing and cursing because they couldn't get the thing opened.
Yep.
So now, then you're walking up the stairs feeling great coming in, and then you hit that spot where all that swearing has taken place, and all of a sudden you're just in a really pissed off mood and you don't know why as you
Yeah.
continue on the rest of the house. And these are like these little pockets of energy that we're creating, and that goes both ways. So the more joy and happiness and celebration you have, that also amplifies too. But you want to be mindful of when these things happen, and you could have whether it's fights
Exactly.
or
I want to. I
emotional.
want to learn more about that. We got to go to a quick break. You're listening to the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back in the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden, and I am talking today with Angela Kazarian. She is a Feng Shui consultant and Reiki practitioner. You can learn more about her at www.lovingkarma.com. That's spelled LOVINGKARMA.com. So before we went to break, we were talking about how you can come into a room, and if there's an argument, that had just taken place, that people don't even have to be there, like most people can feel like, oh, this energy feels a little weird, or like if there's an area you were explaining, like the area in your home where people can't open the door and they're like angry about it, like there's these pockets of energy, and so you have to clear that, right?
Yeah, you want
Okay.
to do it at least once a month is my recommendation, but I'll do it more often than that whenever I feel necessary. It can
Mhm.
be if you've had, emotional releases or full moons. People like to do it around the full moon because that's symbolically letting go. But with the stuck energy that we were just talking about and what that creates, another thing in feng shui you want to be mindful of is things like that. So if your door is stuck, then that can show up as you feeling stuck in your life. If you have bulbs that are burnt out, you want to change them right away because that can show up as you being burnt out for whatever areas in your life. So fix the things as quickly as you can that create those frustrations.
Yeah, yeah, so interesting. And I mean, that's just good, like advice anyway, because I feel like I'm guilty of it. I know a lot of people who are guilty of it. Like you just said, like a light bulb needs to be changed. And it's like, oh well, I'll do it tomorrow or whatever. But it's stuff like that that takes up so much energy that you don't even realize it takes up. Like it's just in the back of your head, right?
Yeah.
And you have this frustration. And so
Yeah.
every time you walk by, you're like, gotta change that.
Yeah.
Gotta
And
fix that. Like we had this door. It's funny you're talking about a door that was stuck. We had this door to our one of our bathrooms that wouldn't latch. Like, you no matter you shove it hard or whatever, it would hold for like 2 seconds, and the thing would unlatch, and here it comes swinging open again. And so we got like a little stopper, and that was just such a pain in the butt for me. Like every single time I had to close the door, I had to grab this stopper, shove it underneath so it would keep the door closed. I'm like, I'm done with this. Like, we need
right.
to fix that door.
Right. Times everything from it's not just in our house, like where you pull into your driveway. That's where your energy really starts. Like, what are you bringing in the house with you mentally, emotionally? So if
Mhm.
you've got like broken string lights or weeds or the to-do things, the trash cans, things blowing around the yard, and you like, you come in the house, and then that just
Yep.
continues. So you want to create like love at first sight as much as you can from the moment you hit that property. And this should be uplifting because the more you can carry that, oh, look at my cute little planter that I got. Oh, look at this light that's finally working. And you have all those mini joyful moments. And that becomes your avalanche in your home, not the other stuff that creates more other stuff. So,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's so interesting. I think, most of us people don't really think about how all these things work together or intertwine for positive or negative, right?
yes.
Like, we talk about how, well, a mess, you have like if your desk is messy, if you've got piles of papers everywhere or whatever, like that's taking up mental space.
Yes.
But we don't think about it like that. We just think like, oh, that's a mess, I'm going to have to clean it up, whatever. We don't really take it further than that to think like, how is this really affecting me? Like, how is it affecting how I perform in my job? How is it affecting the other relationships I have with
Yeah.
my family members or my
Yeah.
spouse? But it does affect it.
Yeah, and if I could tell you a quick story, so I was talking about the three-dimensional vision board for the Bagua map. I actually do these vision board parties where you're creating your vision board based on the Bagua map. And I had put in my relationship area in 2021 and 2022 the word bliss because I just wanted that blissful feeling in relationships in my life. So here we are, go back to October of 2024. I sold my home because my home was my registered business and I had to start renting in a new location. And now I am in a store that I didn't know existed in 2021 or 22 called Bliss. That
No
is where
way.
my Zen den is. Yes, I have
Wow.
when I put those two together, I was like, "Oh my God, I know I teach it and preach it, but it works. It so
Yep.
works." So,
Yep. Yep. Yeah. It's even wilder when you get confirmations like that. When
yes.
it literally shows up in your life like that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes.
So let's talk about Reiki, which is the other practice that you do. How would you describe Reiki to someone who's never had it done or may have heard of it but doesn't really know how it works?
Yeah, so Reiki is an energy that if you were to Google it, it would say universal life force energy. And I think that's such a limitation on what it is. I think it's what animates life and what, makes the trees and plants grow and what nourishes us and the environment we live in. Um, I'm a Reiki master teacher, so I've had attunements from other Reiki teachers above me, which opened me up to the Reiki energy through the attunement process. But people don't need to have an attunement to receive Reiki. It just allows me to be a practitioner. And I just facilitate the healing. I tell my clients, you are the sponge, I am the faucet, and the Reiki is the water. So, Reiki is an energy that helps bring your body into balance. It helps facilitate your body's ability to move through energetic blocks that people don't realize that they have, but could be the reason why they're having some type of ailment or illness that is not getting better.
Yeah. And what does a typical session look like? Like when someone comes to you, what
Yeah.
exactly do you do? And then
Yes.
typically like what types of things do people come see you for Reiki?
Such a great question. I typically will have my clients have a seat and we have a conversation and I speak to the energy systems and chakras. And one thing that I love to explain that most people who know nothing about energy can identify with is our chakras are these spinning wheels in motion. We have seven major ones that are the color wheels that you see in most of the pictures, the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, white.
Hmm.
But we actually have over 100 that go way above our energy field and way below into the earth. But our chakras play this role of helping energy flow within our bodies and exchanging in our environment. And when we have these emotions, which are just energy in motion that we suppress and we block, I like to use the example of, being a 3-year old and dropping your ice cream or spilling milk and you're crying and your parents are yelling at you to stop crying. And so then all of a sudden you don't cry because you think it's wrong to cry. And so you stuff and suppress that, or you have a fight with a partner or a boss, or you feel like you want to scream or yell, but you're in a place where you can't do that. So here comes this cry, scream, yell, moving up through you, and you're doing your best to stop that because you do not want to do all of that in front of people. Well, that you intentionally stopping is stopping this energy in motion. So now our chakras that are doing this to draw it out are suddenly not able to spin because we are using our physical body. And then people get that sharp pain in their throat. So that pain is because you're feeling that chakra all of a sudden not being able to express what is naturally trying to come out. So that emotion now is cemented in there times however many times in your life we've done that. So Reiki can be like Drano for our energy system. And sometimes a person can be coming for I'll actually tell a story of a client who had a foot that was not healing, had like a staph infection, foot surgery, And honestly, his wife is the one that sent him to me. That's the only reason why he came.
Of course.
And yeah, and he's like this big burly guy, and he's on the table, and I explained that it's going to go where it needs to go for highest healing good. And a few seconds into the session, he burst into tears, was mortified, started swearing, and was like, "What the F was that?" And I said, "You don't have to worry about what it is. And it's a lot. This is what is healing you. So go with it. Don't identify where it's coming from. But if you think about it, here goes the energy trying to move. Reiki's going through our bodies, trying to get to the foot to heal, but it can't because we have all these blocks that the healthy energy can't nourish all of our body parts. So in that session, that's what came out for him. And then the rest of the healing could take place after that emotional block was released. So some people come to me for physical ailments, some come for anxiety or depression. And these always lead to great conversations and help me talk to the other things that I do with Feng Shui and the healthy home, and what are things in your environment that could be disrupting to your body. So, um, it's just such a wonderful tool for helping our bodies come into balance in the way that's best for their highest good without me doing anything to you. It's just flowing through me to you.
Right, because you're not physically touching the person.
So you
Which,
can do hands above or you could do
okay.
hands on, and that's a
Okay.
practice for them.
Yeah. Yeah. But they're laying on like a massage table and
Yeah. Oh, I love that you just said that. So Reiki does not have to be all on a massage table. In a session in my Zen den where people come to me for, yes, I'll usually start at the head, work my way down, work my way back up, and sense through their energy fields. And there's usually a really great difference from the vitality that I feel from beginning to end. But one of the articles that I published in the Reiki News magazine was called The Simplicity and Practicality of Reiki, because my daughter and I will literally just be sitting on the couch with her feet in my lap. And, one time she had stepped on a seashell and she was hobbling around the next morning and going to Florida the next day with her father. So when she was hobbling, I said, "Oh, let's look at it." And she had a streak coming out of this wound from the seashell. And I was like, "Oh, we got to call the doctor. That looks like infection. Get you some antibiotics." But we did Reiki. We were watching Friends. We were laughing. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. Go to the doctor 4 hours after that, and the streak is gone. And the
oh,
doctor's like, "I don't see a streak." And I had a picture of it. And she said, "If it looked like that right now, I would make her take antibiotics right now." So she ended up getting the antibiotics just in case, but she never needed taking them. So it doesn't need to be on a table. You could be sitting in a chair, you could be in a car, you could hold somebody's hand, and you can send it across the world. It doesn't need to be physically in your space. It's amazing.
that I think that's the hardest concept for people to grasp, right? But it's energy, right? You're
Yeah,
basically just channeling energy, sending energy. So you don't need to be, with the person even, or even like communicating like we are now. You could send
right.
Reiki to someone who doesn't even, who you're not on a Zoom call with or not on the
Correct.
phone with.
Correct. Yeah, a lot of different ways. And I do have clients in Australia and England, and it's just something people have to experience for themselves and be open to and allow for. But it's something that I think we're all natural born healers without Reiki. You fall, you scrape your knee, you put your hands there, you have a headache, you put your hands on your head because it's healing.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it is pretty amazing. I mean, there's actually research ongoing now, just about like even let's say sending healing messages through prayer or through thought or whatever, and we're finding that we can actually measure some of this stuff now. So it is real. It does work, even though we tend to like humans are kind of like, well, if I can't see it, I don't know if it's real.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to be like that.
Skeptic.
But yeah, yeah,
It's
but
good to
yeah,
be a skeptic, but it's also
it
good to
is.
have the experience for yourself to be able to attest to it.
Exactly, exactly. Well, this is all fascinating. We're coming up on another quick break. You're listening to the Dr. Diane Show. When we come back, we'll be talking more about Reiki and Feng Shui with Angela Kazarian. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. You can learn more about me at www.drdianehayden.com. And I'm talking today with Angela Kazarian. You can learn more about her at www.lovingkarma.com. That's spelled LOVINGKARMA.com. So before the last break, we were talking about Reiki and how it can be done in person or done remotely, and energy and all that. And I think I'm always fascinated by people who get into the practice of energy medicine. And because we were saying like how most people are very skeptical about this. And not only were you not, you got past that to even experience it, but now you've decided that you want to practice it and you want to teach it. So what was there something that happened like along your journey to to make you decide that? And
Yes. When I first took the Reiki level 1 class with my girlfriend just to see what it was about, I had the attunement and I'm like, I came in this building without the attunement and I'm leaving this building with the attunement and I feel no different and I don't understand what this is. And I didn't really do anything with it. And then
yeah.
like 8 months later, same girlfriend, she's like, let's do level 2. And so we did level 2. And, this level 2 allowed me to send Reiki over time and space and didn't matter. You can even like send it to heal some childhood trauma or future to an interview, lots of different things. Again, all really cool, but didn't feel any different. And then I was taking a singing bowl class with this guy, and he happened to be yeah, I had a really raging headache. That's what it was. And so I'm at the singing bowl station playing singing bowls, holding my head, and he comes up behind me and he was like, "Do you mind if I do Reiki?" And I was like, "I would love for you to." And he did, I don't know what he did Reiki, but I felt like this chewing gum pull sensation that the headache just came straight out of me. And he like blew it up in the air, did some shamanic stuff. And I instantly was like, what just happened? What was that? And I said, do you teach Reiki Masters? Because I want to learn from you. And
Wow.
that's how it happened. And then I did Reiki Masters and then loved it so much and had my own profound experiences. And I had other clients. I was already doing Feng Shui at like vendor events. So I just added Reiki to my what I was already doing because I thought, we all could benefit from having one Reiki practitioner in our home. We have medicine cabinets. We go to take pills for headaches. Why not try this first? Why not pay attention to what's around us? Usually, for me, it's like if your body is giving you pain, it's your alarm system that something may be around you or something you just put in could possibly be causing that. So,
Right.
and then I started teaching it right before COVID. And then during COVID, I wanted to get closer to the lineage of the school that I teach, and took all the levels through masters and teaching again just to get more information. So for me, it's just this incredible path of self-discovery. It's not just about healing your body physically, it's healing your mind. It's learning the importance of taking care of yourself. And it's really learning a lot about most people that come to me to learn for themselves are typically empaths that already are feeling a lot of energy from the world around them, but they're people that they interact with on a daily basis. So it's learning how to take care of that too. And just, I think there's a certain kind of beauty in being a teacher and practitioner and having a space that is sacred to allow people to go through what they need to go through and process. We're all quick savers of people. Like, don't cry. Don't, because we're uncomfortable and they're uncomfortable and we just want to save them. But then what happens is we take on that they feel better. And now we're like, oh, how horrible, how awful, how sad, but they're going through this beautiful, it doesn't feel beautiful always. And I always say the Angela in me wants to hug my client as you're crying, but I know if I hug them during that session that it's going to stop that energy and motion that is trying to come out. That is the thing that their body is begging to release. And it's to have this whole different perspective and understanding. And I'll do all the hugging after, but it's to teach people to be with our emotions. And I lost my own mother to suicide when I was young, so I'm a huge advocate of normalizing pain and suffering. I think people think that something's wrong with them when they're sad or anxious or have anxiety or hopeless. And I think we're just not taught how to feel our emotions and how to be with them. And, God forbid anybody knows that we're not happy all the time because nobody talks about it, at least on
Hmm.
Facebook or social media platforms. So I like making people feel normal and real. And then I think that can bring more joy to us after you know that it's okay to not experience joy all the time and to release those parts of us that are stuck in there making us feel off and we don't know why.
Yeah, 100%. You're 100% right that people don't. They're either like embarrassed to feel emotions like that, like sadness or grief or trauma or whatever, or they don't want to burden other people, so they kind of just
Yes.
stuff it. And definitely, we're not taught. I remember my father passed away when I was relatively young. I was 27,
Mm.
and when I look back now on, I mean, I've done so much personal development work since then, but then I wasn't into any of this stuff. I had a marketing degree. I was in grad school for exercise physiology. I wasn't, doing anything of like what I'm doing now. And I just remember feeling like um I didn't want I didn't want to burden anybody by being sad. So I pretended that I was happy all the time. Not
Yeah.
like, overjoyed, but oh no, like anybody would ask me, no, I'm fine, I'm fine. My dad was sick for a long time. It's kind of expected. I had this whole story basically. But yeah, but it's like, we
It
need
makes
to be able to um, make that normal for people, like you said.
Yeah, because if you can't be authentically you and you're making yourself small to make someone else feel better, you're robbing yourself of the need to feel it, and you're robbing the other person the experience of seeing the real you. And maybe them seeing you cry and saying this is hard is what's going to save them and allow them to be that in your space too.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that. Like, I always thought of it like, oh, if I'm upset, it's going to make people uncomfortable, or they're not going to want me to be sad or whatever. But you're exactly right. Like, it may have given somebody else an opportunity to react differently in the
Yeah.
situation, you
Yeah,
know?
and I always tell people we have a 4-year-old and 5 and 6 and 7, 8 times all years old in our inside of ourselves, and that's who I tell my clients to go to. You're telling that 4-year-old little version of you that she's not important and her emotions aren't important because you're trying to shush her to make other people feel better. And when you start to think about it that way, like, whoa, like I'm my own child, you start doing things a little differently.
Yeah, yeah. So we just have a couple minutes left. Do you have like a favorite personal client success story that you want to tell us?
Yeah, I had a feng shui consultation one time when I had my smart meter and I was going in measuring magnetic fields and we were in the spare bedroom and the fields were really super high and I said, "D- does somebody sleep in here on a regular basis and do they get headaches when they sleep here?" And she said, "I can't believe you're saying that. My mother comes from India 3 times a year. And the last time she was here, she called me while I was at work and I had to take her to the emergency room because her headaches were so bad. And it was because they did all sorts of tests, couldn't figure anything out. She just kept taking Tylenol until she went home. But the smart meter on the homes that measure the electricity and just send signals, constantly pulsing signals, are what was behind the bed. So in moving the
Wow.
bed, there were no more headaches. So that's a perfect example of, why we look at the EMFs in the home too. And I had a similar situation with a girlfriend. with that specific thing, EMF. She had chickens that weren't laying eggs all of a sudden. And we measured in her barn, and she had some fan that was ridiculously high readings. And she correlated. She's like, "Oh, I picked that fan up off the side of the road." And I said, "Well, when did they stop laying eggs?" She's like, "Around the same time that I started using it in the barn." So
Oh my God, crazy.
that, and then the
Yeah.
eggs
Yeah.
started being produced more like they were
Awesome.
before.
That is so awesome. Well, thank you so much for all this great information. Again, people can reach you at www.lovingkarma.com. So, such a pleasure to talk to you and have you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Please join me the first and third Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. I'll see you back here next time. Thank you for tuning into the Dr. Diane Show, revolutionary expansion of mind, body, and soul with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. Tune in every Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on transformationtalkradio.com. Center your thoughts on what you want and shut the door on every suggestion of fear, worry, or lack from your own consciousness or the consciousness around you. Once you master that, everything is possible. To learn more about me, Dr. Diane, and receive a free digital subscription of my magazine, visit naturalnutmeg.com.